So there's a good question. Did you see that article? FedEx driver or UPS, I don't know who it was. 89-year-old guy fell on a sidewalk. This shows on a Ring camera. The daughter-in-law recorded it. Guy fell. He's asking for help up. The FedEx guy goes, "Dude, I can't help you out." I'm guessing because of lawsuits. How is that rule nowadays? That's something I've always thought about. Like, I see somebody choking or, CPR, they can sue you.
It depends the state you're in, because if you're in a state that has the what's it called, the Good Samaritan law, you are obligated legally to help somebody out that's in danger. But then there's other states that don't have that you could get sued if you try to help someone and they get more injured because of your assistance. And there's stories of people getting sued and going bankrupt because they tried to help somebody.
Yeah.
And
which is crazy.
They got more injured because of it.
That's like McDonald's and hot coffee. They got sued because of hot coffee. There's now a sign because of hot coffee.
The biggest thing is, like, it's kind of like sports with, like, a touchdown, or since they brought instant replay to baseball, now that everybody has a camera phone, everybody has instant replay.
Yeah.
So, like, if you're a cop, you're on instant replay. Like, if somebody's going to shoot at you, I'm not thinking about the dude holding the cell phone on the sidelines who's like, we're going to judge the crap out of you after you make a bad call. I'm thinking of, like, you're reacting.
Yeah.
And that's like I talk about all the time. Like, the guy who died in the Wendy's parking lot who shot the taser at the cop, that guy, he shot the taser twice, so he knew it was already disbanded. It's like, dude, I've been in a fight. You don't think about what's happening. You're just reacting. If I see a guy with something in his hands that looks like a gun and he's running away, I'm like, stop him.
I don't disagree that cops should be held to a higher standard. They get that job and they go through training for that.
You just have to realize
you can only
yeah.
exactly. They're not robots. They're not going to sit there and not react just like you or I would after being berated for hours and hours. And the amount of stress involved in that job, like, that's why you just follow their orders, because at the end of the day, their training also dictates that they know better than you or I do what that situation requires. I've been arrested. I disagreed with why I was being arrested, and I verbally argued with the cop. But at the end of the day, I followed his orders because until I was given my opportunity to explain myself, I needed to sit down and shut the fuck up.
And look, there's bad cops out there. There's no
100%.
questions that cops take advantage of whatever. But I look back to, you guys ever see the movie Sully?
Yeah.
The airplane.
Yeah.
What were they not including in that simulation? Human
interaction.
Yeah, human reaction time.
Yeah.
They're like, look, there's no human reaction time. You guys are, how many times did they try this before? Well, 6 times. Okay, so they know exactly what they're doing. Cops go into situations every day. They don't.
No clue.
You got to give them some leeway. Yeah, obviously things they've done is stupid, but a lot of the things, like, they're reacting, and they're trained to react a certain way, but you're still taking the human element out of it.
And their training is generic for most situations. Right. You can't train for every situation.
Right.
There's never going to be, I used to be a full black and white person. Either you're right, you're wrong, you're this or you're that. The older you get, the more you learn. There's always a gray area.
Always.
And if you are just black and white person, not racial, the colors themselves, where it's either this way or that way, all or nothing, you're confused about how this world works.
That's what the world is right now.
Yeah.
We're black and white completely.
And
I know very few people that you can have an argument with and listen to them, or they'll listen to you and be like, oh, I get that. No,
we're taught from a young age, growing up in church like we all did, that it's either this or that.
Yeah, it's there's no compromise.
And then you learn reality. And realize there's situations that can't just fall into one or the other basket.
So, like, another thing is like with the human element, and going back to the idea of the referee, right? So, like, if you're the head ref for the Super Bowl game, and you can't expect that referee to not have any human feelings about that game, because no matter what, at the end of that day, if he's an NFL ref, he's got people he likes, he's got people he dislikes, and he's got a team. He can't tell anybody he's got a team, because he's like, you can't be human because you have to be right.
Yep.
right? So like if Tom Brady's in the red zone going for a 10-yard rush to like score a touchdown and he's like, I hate Tom Brady, without him intentionally doing it because it's subconscious of him being human and he hates Tom Brady, he's like, yeah, you were out.
Yeah.
You didn't cross the plane.
Yep.
Sorry, nope. Or flag, yep, you did this wrong, they did this wrong. And I'm not saying he tried it. He's still trying to call a legitimate game, but it's something that is a split second like that, you have a predisposed feeling about something. So like if you're exposed to, as a cop, let's say you're exposed to a high crime black neighborhood 24/7, guess what? If you're experiencing that 24/7 and all you see is the negativity about some person and you pull over a black person, unfortunately, you're probably approaching the car like this, and it's not at fault of the person who got pulled over. And I understand you could say it's racist, this, that, and the other, but if you break it back down to the sports idea, you're like, well, yeah, it makes sense. You don't like Tom Brady. Why don't you like Tom Brady? This, that, and the other. Like, you know what I mean? It's a stretch, but it again, it's, the point I'm trying to make is that everybody's human. And that guy pulling you over is still scared for his life, and he's still human. And unfortunately, he's got a reason not to like your
and
team because of what he's exposed to.
We all form opinions based on our experiences,
Yeah.
our life experiences, and what we think we know. My opinions aren't always going to be the same as yours or anybody else's.
100%.
It's pretty much, there's not many jobs out there. You go to work and you could literally die in any day. All they do is deal with griping people
Dude,
every day. And look, there should probably be better training. Their wages should be higher. They should do better background checks. Like, I know my dad was a sergeant. I know what they did. Like, they do a good job, but human elements, like you said, you're never going to be able to take it out. There should be, obviously, there's been that guy, George Floyd. He had how many other priors? Like 17 complaints? Like, come on, at some point, you got to step up.
at one point, though.
George Floyd? He was something in the academy with him or something. He was.
No, they worked as bouncers. Like
That's
they
what it
did.
was.
They did like crowd control together.
Yeah.
Oh,
and-
so he was friends with cops, but he wasn't actually.
So the
okay.
problem is, like, if you look at how many issues that Derek Chauv's guy had against him and all the things that led on his record with complaints, and he had a boatload,
Yeah.
and he should have been fired a long
Yes.
time before that. So then you bring on a guy who you had past experience in, and this guy, when they did like crowd control together, Floyd threw him under the bus on stuff, and Derek didn't like that. So like there was a little bit of history there that was kind of like, but like I've talked about this before. Is like that the idea of the knee on the neck. You're cutting off the jugular on circulation there, and I get it. Like their idea is like to make someone pass out, but at the same time, like in jujitsu, that's what like it's kind of like knee on belly is you're controlling. Knee on belly isn't meant to make someone tap; it's a control. So realistically, and this is just my opinion, when you're doing the knee, that knee should be over top of the neck, and that foot should be on the ground here because it's a control thing. You're trying to contain the head. So like I can put my knee on the ground at point A, and my foot is here at point B, and your neck is right in between, and I got this like lever. So like if you're resisting more, I can flatten my foot out and put more pressure on your neck and can control. Or as if I'm just trying to keep you in a spot from moving. I have a bumper here and a bumper here. Worst thing you can do is push this way. And if I feel you move, because it's going to be sensitive, I can just dump weight back on the hip and put weight on the neck again. And it's like, that's just how it should be done. It shouldn't be the knee right on the neck. I'm like, bro, I'm gonna make it pass out. It's like, yeah, you can't do that.
the only thing I'm worried about cops is that fine line. Look, we
It's-
gotta protect our cops, but we also have to hold them accountable
100%.
completely.
That's why I say body
And-
cams.
Yeah, and body cams are awesome. I mean, it takes any guessing. You're obviously gonna have some guessing elements. You're not gonna see everything.
Yeah.
You're not gonna see outside factors, whatever else.
Right.
But you just you have a problem. Look at the camera, and I mean, to me, it's
Well, I've heard cops say before, and even my brother, they're talking about doing it in correction facilities and making him wear one. And originally he was against it. He's like, no, he's like, I don't think it's a good idea. But then the more he thought about it, he's like, at the end of the day, like I struggle sometimes reminding myself on the day to day when I have these guys constantly berating me. Every day I walk on that floor, they're just screaming vulgar shit at me. I have a tough time remembering why I do this and also what is required of me.
Yeah.
And it's easy to become complacent and fall into that BS. He said if he had that constant reminder, it would help him make sure that he stayed within guidelines. And he agrees that it would be beneficial. So I think most people would feel that way.
So that's like to that point, and that's why I'm for it, because it's like the accountability thing.
Yeah.
If you know, it's not to go say, "Oh, we're trying to catch you." It's not what we're trying to say. It's like, I can't do this or act like this because I have this place of power over you and I have a gun and nobody's watching. Somebody's watching.
Yep.
So like I can't just act a certain way. It's kind of like when you're waiting tables and that person's flipping out on you and you're like, this person, you know they're being ridiculous. But you know you can't say anything because there's a bunch of people around you and all they have to do is say, I want to see your manager. Well, guess what? When you're pulling somebody over, or you're like in a situation, that person pulling you over can't, or like who's the victim can't be like, you know what? I want to see your manager. I don't think this ticket's going well. Go get your manager. He can come give me a
That
ticket.
was the only benefit of being a restaurant manager, is when somebody would say that to me, I'd be like, speaking. I'm here, bitch. What do you want?
Been talking to him for 5 minutes.
Right.